Hey, Tea Sippers, this is AunTeaFee about them facts. How we doing this Sunday morning, afternoon? I'm going to jump on into what's going on with George Santos. The No Kings celebration had no arrest. Can you believe it? No Kings rallies had no, hey Janet, no rally arrest, and millions were there. Praise God. Hey, Cynthia. But I am going to jump into this Santos cat because I believe that there is a possibility that he may be setting it up to, thank you, Janet. I'm sorry. I know you didn't want me to end it last night, but, I'm sorry. But I do have it pinned from where I was last night in the Epstein files, baby. I'm gearing up to what's been leaked. And indeed, it is information out there that we have not received. Do you agree? And it gets greater. If people come on and support appropriately, I will deliver the tea. I'm just saying. So let's go. Let's check this out, cause I think yesterday was a big eye opener. There's also the a senator. Yeah, I'll talk about it later. But it's a lot going on, and I don't think he happy, nor is his base happy. Military not happy with Trump. I mean, hopefully this is enough to start gearing towards getting his ass up. I mean, I'm sorry, excuse me. It's too early for, but getting him up out of there. But let's go.
This weekend, ex-Congressman George Santos living life as a free man after President Trump commuted his prison sentence. Santos was serving a 7-year sentence for wire fraud and
7
aggravated
years.
identity theft in New Jersey.
So he wasting taxpayers' money for a trial. He's wasting jurors. So, people already don't want to go and serve on jury duty. And now, they go and serve, find somebody guilty by their own peers. Hey, lady love. And then find them guilty. And then a month later, President commutes his time. All because he's red. All because he wears a Maga hat. So it's just wasting everybody's time. Everything that, we stand for, or we are about, the Constitution, everything that the United States stand for, he moves totally opposite. Everything. He is just showing how corrupt it all is. So what's the point of going to trial? What's the point of serving jury duty? I mean, you don't get paid for doing. I mean, I got one on my desk right now. The last one, I mean, two of them I was supposed to go. Work had me traveling. I was traveling, but hell, it turned right back around and sent me another one. What's the point? What's the point of summoning me for jury duty for you to have a trial and be found guilty by your peers just for Trump to let him out? And Lord in heaven knows if he thinks this protest, this rally was record breaking. Wait till he tries to commute Ghislaine Maxwell. Watch that. I hope somebody talks enough sense into him. He said he was going to talk to his DOJ. But wait. Just wait. Let him do it. And watch that protest. Watch that Charlie Kirk effect with U.S. citizens, not some foreigners from Qatar that or Israel that you let come in and do y'all dirty work for y'all. Yeah. That man up on the roof that came in on that helicopter in all black. Now Qatar can build in the U.S. I wonder did Charlie disagree with that before he was unalive. Okay, let's go, y'all. I'm just saying.
Trump explaining, quote, George has been in solitary confinement for long stretches of time and by all accounts has been horribly mistreated. Therefore, I just signed a commutation releasing George Santos from prison immediately. Good luck, George. Have a great life.
Solitary confinement. So we know Ghislaine Maxwell is not in solitary confinement. We know that. They say she is being treated royally. We know Diddy. I know he's saying, God dang. I wish I would have known that's the key word for being mistreated is confinement where he's not being confined. Remember, he is having Bible studies. What is it called? Diddy game for free. Yeah, so they can't use that. They're not being in solitary and confinement. Yeah. They're not being mistreated.
Has been horribly mistreated. Therefore, I just signed a commutation releasing George Santos from prison immediately. Good luck, George. Have a great life.
George Santos joins us now to react. George, thank you so much for joining us on the couch. So let's just, first of all, congratulations on getting out.
You know, thank you. Thank you for having me. And thank you to President Trump.
Now, I'm going to say this. He looked awfully healthy to be in solitary confinement. I would have thought he'd have been skinny and seeing his ribs through his shirt and shit. He don't look like he been confined in no room by himself, no food, starving him, beating him. I mean, none of that. Do y'all see that? But carry on.
For clemency and for having such an amazing will for second chances. You know, I feel like it's justice served in the sense of I've made some poor choices in my life, but nothing would warrant a insane, arbitrary sentence. But on top of that, a sentence that no one else would have gotten, a treatment that no one else would have gotten, 41 days in isolation in the SHU. And to add insult to injury, I had two co-defendants, one who got probation, one who was me, who got 7 years, and the other one who's still in the same facility today, suffering the same thing. Sam Mealy is still sitting in there, which I still think it's a great injustice. All non-violent first-time offenders with no criminal background, and we're being thrown in this harsh environment with absolutely nothing. So when
entitlement. That happens to people every day. Period. I mean, that happens every day. And that's what y'all rally for everybody else. Y'all please hit the like button. 188 people in the building. Only 4 likes. Double tap the screen on your phone. Or hit the 3 buttons at the top. Get the likes up. Ask anybody. I will shut it down. Yeah, but this is what y'all rally for. Y'all rally for this. I thought this was the cabinet for law and order. I thought it was about following the law. What happened to that? I mean, so is it only the MAGA law? What law? We know your order is ICE. We know your order is, you know, them 3Ks. But in our reality with the last name Santos, don't that make him a descendant of immigrant? So why ICE wasn't there to pick him up and send him to some foreign country somewhere? I mean, is this the cabinet of making rules and breaking rules? Okay, I'm just asking.
Spokespresident Trump yesterday, I told him my commitment would be to prison reform. I told him my commitment would be to fighting to help Sam Mealy and so many other people who are being absolutely drowned with this arbitrary sentencing style of judges who are trying to circumvent the First Step Act.
So you were convicted of identity theft and wire fraud, basically misusing the funds that donors have given to you for personal reasons.
I know there are people who have gotten more than 7 years. What the hell are you talking about? People who have done identity theft and fraud and wire tampering and misuse of funds, they've gotten about 10 years. You got 7 in April. I think they say February or April of 2025, and your ass is out. Oh, okay. He says he's never heard of it before. So you have them privileged ears. You hear what you want to hear. You've researched what you want to research. Because you are not the first. Heck no. And the guy from Real House, Portia husband, he got deported. Didn't he? For theft and stuff. All them housewives of New Jersey. Teresa husband, didn't his ass get deported? Yeah, you entitled.
Prison reform, I told him my commitment would be to fighting to help Sam Mealy.
George Santos joins us now to react. George, thank you so much for joining us on the couch. So let's just, first of all, congratulations on getting out.
You know, thank you. Thank you for having me. And thank you to President Trump for clemency. And for
You must have made him some money.
An amazing will for second chances. You know, I feel like it's justice served in the
I know
sense
Dita
of,
swinging in the earth.
I've made some poor choices in my life, but nothing would warrant a insane, arbitrary sentence. But on top of that, a sentence that no one else would have gotten.
People get it every
Treatment that
day.
no one else would have gotten. 41 days in isolation in the SHU. And to add insult to injury, I had 2 co-defendants. One who got probation, one who was me, who got 7 years, and the other one who's still in the same facility today, suffering the same thing. Sam Mealy is still sitting in there.
How many years did Sam get?
All non-violent first-time offenders with no criminal background, and we're being thrown in this harsh environment with absolutely nothing. So when I spoke to President Trump yesterday, I told him my commitment would be to prison reform. I told him my commitment would be to fighting to help Sam Mealy and so many other people who are being absolutely drowned with this arbitrary sentencing style of judges who are trying to circumvent the
Lady Love, yeah, we did it before it hit. Before it hit the mainstream. Yeah, we laughed about that for a minute, didn't we, T. Sippers? That ICE, that drunk ICE guy that got pulled over with his kids in the car. Yep, I covered it. I moved an update, Lady Love, in my inbox. I'll check it. I saw something recapping on it today. I'll touch bases on it.
First Step Act.
So you were convicted of identity theft and wire fraud, basically misusing the funds that donors have given to you for
Campaign
personal
funds. So you were stealing.
Why shouldn't you have served out your full term?
Look, Charlie, I understand people want to make this into he's getting away with it. Right. I'm not getting away with it.
Yes,
I
you
was
are.
the first person to ever go to federal prison for this type of civil FEC violation. These are usually solved in penalties, and I don't want to focus on trying to rehash the past. I want to take this experience and do good and move on.
This fool is crazy.
Repentance is
He said he the first.
It's like I have been dealt a second chance. I have a lot to prove to a lot of people, and I have to make sure.
Is everybody under this MAGA? Are they all in denial? Did this cat just say he is the first? He said he is the first. to go to prison and be sentenced to 7 years for identity theft, stealing donations, fraud? Or are you saying that you are the first MAGA? Because you're not the first. Absolutely not. This is the craziest shit ever. You talking about entitlement. Oh my God.
Violation. These are usually solved in penalties. And I don't want to focus on trying to rehash the past. I want to take this experience and do good and be with it. I was the first person to ever go to federal prison for this type of getting away with it. Right? I'm not getting away with it. I was the first person to ever go to federal prison for this type of civil FEC violation. These are usually solved in penalties. And I don't want to focus on trying to rehash the past. I want to take this experience and do good and move on with the future. Repentance is an understatement. It's like I have been dealt a second chance. I have a lot to prove to a lot of people, and I have to make sure President Trump understands that I am not going to disappoint him. You know,
So, George, you've been given a second chance. You were also expelled from Congress.
Yes, sir.
So what do you plan to do with this second chance? And is there any plans that you might try and return?
Thank God he's
Not run
expelled.
for Congress, that's for sure. That's definitely not something I want to do at the immediate moment. I think.
But you're not ruling it out.
I'm not ruling it out. No, look, I'm 37 years old, so I have
Oh,
time.
wow.
I'm not saying that I want to go to Congress. I don't necessarily think that that's the best avenue. Look, they can't get the government open. so it's not like it's a good functioning institution.
So what do you do with the second
Let me ask you this. You talk about you were in solitary confinement. You had a lot of time to think about your life. What has happened to you spiritually? I know I talked to you earlier.
They don't just put you in they just don't put you in solitary confinement without you doing something. Either it was for your protection, I guess, for your butt. I mean, because you is fluffy. You is fluffy. So that means your ass couldn't fight. It was for your protection. Or you was in there acting a fool. I mean, so which one is it? Tell all the story. They just don't put you in you be in general population unless it is for your protection. And hell, you got that peach lipstick on. Was you in there flossing?
You talk about you were in solitary confinement. You had a lot of time to think about your life. What has happened to you spiritually? I know I talked to you earlier. You said you went to mass, you went to confession. Talk to me about that.
The moment I got into prison, I discovered there's this visiting priest a Catholic priest who comes in every Thursday. Started going to mass. Then I was abruptly pulled into
You was abruptly, hold on.
the shoe. I was denied a Bible. I was denied a rosary after putting in requests. The institution's horrible. The warden Kelly there, she's a horrible human being. Runs a
Okay, so you were going to mass, so you wasn't in. So something happened. So you started demanding something because you were able to go to mass.
a Catholic priest who comes in every Thursday. Started going to mass. Then I was abruptly pulled into the shoe. In the shoe, I was denied a Bible. I was denied a rosary after putting in requests. The institution's horrible. The warden Kelly there, she's a horrible human being. Runs a horrible institution that she denies you religious services, medicine. It's insane. I connected with God. I reconnected myself. I started praying in such a profound way. The day after I left the shoe, I went straight to mass. It was a Thursday, and it was, first of all, the gospel was by Luke, the same exact gospel that I used to pray with my mom when we were fighting cancer. Knock and the door will open, ask and you shall receive. So it's this beautiful gospel. I get super emotional. The priest goes and says, would you like to do confession? I said, yes, I have to do confession. We do confession for a lengthy period. I take communion after years of being completely absent from God in my life. We pray the rosary. He does the intentions of the mass for me. I just feel good. I wake up Friday feeling good. just absolutely at peace with myself, with God, with Jesus, because at the end of the day, Jesus is king. He's your Lord and Savior.
You're saying this is the day before you got the convocation?
Yes, absolutely. 100% the day before. I had plenty of witnesses who were at that mass with me. And if I needed a sign to believe and to dedicate, I'm leaving this studio here and going to mass at St. Patrick's in the next 30 minutes. So that's literally true.
So we need to go, but you still have restitution that you have to pay.
I do not.
How does that work?
So I do not have any pendencies with the law anymore. I have no restitution. I have no probation. And if you just going back,
he cleared his
again,
debt.
and most of the restitution was really.
Y'all, what caused him to go into confinement? He still missed that. He had a hallelujah good time with the priest after confessing. Well, what happened? You had witnesses for what? You went to mass and you then ended up, after you confessed your sins. Y'all see how he just jumped past that? What caused you to get into confinement? You didn't, probably. You learned. Or you was tripping with the warden and you expected some entitlement. And she said, no, you not special. And he started demanding stuff. Acting a fool. Yeah, because you jumped right on past that. You made her out to be the bad guy. A woman. Yeah, y'all crazy.
I had plenty of witnesses who were at that mass with me. And if I needed a sign to believe and to dedicate, I'm leaving 100% the day before. I had plenty of witnesses who were at that.
Day before you got the convocation?
Yes, absolutely. 100% the day before. I had plenty of witnesses who were at that mass with me. And if I needed a sign to believe and to dedicate, I'm leaving this studio here and going to mass at St. Patrick's in the next 30 minutes. So that's literally true.
So we need to go, but you still have restitution that you have to pay.
So he done cleared his debt and everything.
How does that work?
So I do not have any pendencies with the law anymore. I have no restitution. I have no
I think he's setting it up for Ghislaine Maxwell. He better not though.
Insane to make payments back to the NRCC, the National Republican Congressional Committee, because the DOJ under Mayor Garland said that I only raised those monies and got that help from the NRCC under false pretenses, but I won the race. So I don't know about that.
But you run the race.
Yeah.
You were also a very
Lady Love,
voter, always with President Donald Trump, and now you owe your freedom to President Donald Trump, and I know you're really grateful for the mercy.
Oh, now you owe him.
We look forward to seeing what you do with your.
Oh, wow. Oh, I know Diddy swinging in the air. I know he mad. Rightfully so. I ain't lying. But the difference is she will be pardoned or disappear. Okay. I mean, we know that. I'm just setting it up for you, baby. I'm just setting it up for you. I'm just setting it up for you. Okay. That's that one. Hold on. Let's see what this one say.
Why settle for a routine when you can indulge in a ritual? Start with a
ritual. You better leave that word ritual alone, baby.
Breaking news we learned just moments ago. President Trump has commuted the prison sentence of former New York Congressman George Santos. He'd been convicted of
y'all please hit the like button. Double tap the screen.
Have learned he will now go free. Authorities have said he lied about details in his personal life, his professional life, his academic background, and got elected to Congress. Santos had pleaded.
Oh, so he didn't say all of that. Y'all see how Mo come out? Not more. Mo. And not more come out. Mo. So you done lied. You done falsified documents. You done fudge your application to get into Congress. So who did you know? Who is Big Pappy over here?
Congress. Santos had pleaded
Who?
federal charges.
Hold on. Slow down. Ooh, you's pudgy. Ooh, you is pudgy, baby. They was gonna love you the right way up in there. Who is Pepe over there? So who did you know? Why did you fudge it? Oh yeah, you didn't tell us that, fat boy. You didn't tell us that. Now what all did you do? What all did you leave off, Jose? He's a career criminal, no doubt. He will eventually be back in the big house. There you go, the airship. Oh, Jose.
About details in his personal life, his professional life, his academic background. Details in his personal life, his professional.
Yeah, because I had read something about you had taken on your family members' identity and shit. Who your family? Huh? Tell all the story. You's a liar. You're a liar. You're deceitful.
Have said he lied about details in his personal life, his professional life, his academic background, and got elected.
Academic background. So everything about you on paper is a lie. And you say you are the first who have been hit with such harsh 7 years. You are crazy. You're a lie. You need 7 years for each category of lies. Identity, a theft. You falsified documents on federal paper to get into. Boy, you were supposed to see about a good 15, 20 years. What are you talking about?
Details in his personal life, his professional life, his academic background, and got elected to Congress. Santos had pleaded guilty to those federal charges of wire fraud and identity theft. President Trump posting a...
So the jury of your peers were not even necessary because you pled guilty. So you admitted your guilt. And why are you out? You admitted your guilt. Why are you out? You mean to tell me you couldn't handle a few months? Yeah. Y'all big to break the law, but y'all can't handle what y'all ditch out. Y'all been asking for tougher laws, right? Tougher laws on crime, right? It's the administration of law and order, right? And your extra fluffy ass couldn't handle 4 months. What type of knackle bush is this? Oh my God.
Santos had pleaded guilty to those federal charges of wire fraud and identity theft. President Trump posting a short time ago calling Santos a rogue, releasing him from prison immediately and wishing him, in his words, good luck, enjoy your life. Let's get right to our chief White House correspondent, Mary Bruce, leading us off with the breaking news. Mary, what have you learned?
Well, David, the president just moments ago announcing that he has commuted George Santos' sentence, saying he is releasing him from prison immediately. George Santos was sentenced to 7 years after he pleaded guilty to wire fraud and aggravated identity theft. The former congressman admitting he lied to...
Aggravated. I mean, so that means he was aggravated. He was a career deceiver. You were a serial fraudster. Aggravated.
Admitting he lied to Congress and defrauded donors. Now, during his brief political career, Santos was caught lying about where he went to college, his previous employment, and his charity endeavors. He even claimed his mother died in 9/11 and that his grandparents were Holocaust survivors.
Y'all hear this? 9/11 and a Holocaust survivor. And you mean to tell me all of that was a lie? With a I didn't want to say that. Thank you, Janet. With a Hispanic last name. Wow. So he fits right on in there with Trump. Because a long time ago, Trump wanted to be known as a one of them JEWs, and he could be, but he wanted people to think he didn't want people to know he was had a German background. He did not want people to know that. Netanyahu don't want people to know he from Poland. I mean, it's out there, but you know, he changed his name. It is just such a pattern with these fraudsters, how they change their last name and take on a lie and run with it. Ben, what I call him? Ben not gonna sue me. Want people to think that he Jacob out the Bible. He want people to think he Israel. The devil is a lie. He had golden skin with woolly hair.
His mother died in 9/11 and that his grandparents were Holocaust survivors, claims that were not true. Tonight, though, Trump saying, quote, at least Santos had the courage, conviction, and intelligence to always vote Republican. David.
Mary Bruce on the break.
Yes, I'm just staring at the screen. So is he going to commute every Republican in jail, in prison? Y'all, wouldn't that be messed up? So because he voted Republican, he is out. Let the truth be told. Because he voted Republican, per Trump, he deserves a second chance.
David.
Mary Bruce on the breaking news live.
Mary, what did you say? Can you say it a little louder for the ones in the back? Let's go, Mary.
Intelligence to always vote Republican. David.
Mary Bruce on the breaking
He
news
said
live
he had enough.
Santos had the courage, conviction, and intelligence to always vote Republican. David.
Mary Bruce on the breaking news live at the White House.
Wow. What y'all think about that? What y'all think about that? So what about every other Republican that has voted Republican but and have been found guilty in in jail and still locked up? How they supposed to feel? Oh, you don't care nothing about that right there? Oh, because they didn't wear no MAGA hat. Y'all please double tap the screen on your phone and get the lights up for me, please. Now, the please is finna start sounding a little different in a minute. It's too early in here. Yeah, okay. Okay, let's go. Hey, Dope King.
This isn't just a burger. It's a Midwest masterpiece. Fresh beef, real Wisconsin cheddar, thick cut bacon.
Willie, I don't know if you've had a chance to look at this statement. I haven't. We're all looking at. All right, we have some breaking news for you this hour. President Donald Trump has commuted the sentence of George Santos. CBS News White House reporter Willie James Inman joins me now with this. Willie, I don't know if you've had a chance to look at this statement. I haven't. We're all looking at it for the first time. Tell us more about what we know about why this happened and what the president is saying.
Hey there, Chanel. Well, we're getting these details from the president in a social media post. He says that he's commuting the sentence of disgraced former Republican Congressman George Santos, who was serving several years in prison on on identity theft and wire fraud charges. And the president, in this lengthy post, is saying that there were other people who are certainly were disgraced people in society, comparing him to one particular individual, Senator Richard Blumenthal, to be exact. In this lengthy post, he goes on to say that his sentence should be commuted. Now, we don't know much more than that. Remember, George Santos was serving several years, about the people in society, comparing him to one particular individual, Senator Richard Blumenthal, to be exact, in this lengthy post. He goes on to say that his sentence should be commuted. Now, we don't know much more than that.
Okay, so let's switch gears. So, the Democrat. So this is so because he was a Republican. So now he's you know, it's not gonna hit again until he starts it starts affecting them. He should have never been put in office. And it's just the bottom line.
Certainly were disgraced people in society, comparing him to one particular individual.
How was it made up? I'm looking at what Trump said.
Exact in this lengthy post.
Hold on. He never experienced the battle that he never went to be. Who are we talking about? Oh, must be. Okay. So he's comparing him to the.
He goes on to say that his sentence
Democrat.
should be commuted. Now, we don't know much more than that. Remember, George Santos was serving several years, about seven years, when he would have to serve in prison. But the president's saying now that his sentence will be commuted. So we'll have to wait and see in terms of what happens next, when the former congressman will be released from federal prison after this news breaking just now. We're receiving it. But certainly a noteworthy development happening today with this commutation that the president has announced via social media, Chanel.
And he was a representative of New York, former representative, New York Congressman Santos. New York. Oh, okay. They needed him. They needed him for legal stuff that's probably coming. Yeah. I wonder, did he see Diddy up in there?
Development happening today with this commutation that the president has announced via social media, Chanel.
And Willie James, I know that Marjorie Taylor Greene was calling for George Santos's 7-year sentence to be commuted. I just wonder, I know it's early stages, whether you're getting any reaction there.
Who did?
George Santos's 7-year sentence to be commuted. I just
that the president has announced via social media, Chanel.
And Willie James, I know that Marjorie Taylor Greene was calling for George Santos's 7-year sentence to be commuted. I just wonder, I know it's early stages, whether you're getting any reaction there.
Yeah, well, certainly the former congressman does have his allies in Congress. When all of this came about, there were certainly individuals that tried to distance themselves from George Santos. But in this, the post, the president specifically says that he's not only commuting his sentence, but he said that he was a somewhat rogue person, but that there were other rogues throughout the country. And he noted a specific Democratic senator in this post, comparing the two. Clearly, the president wanted to put that message out there that while Santos might not have been the best individual, but that he somehow deserves a second chance with this commutation that the president announced today, Chanel.
Okay, interesting. Thank you so much, Willie James.
Hold on, let's go to
Thank you all for being here. We're going to have a good lunch, and we're going to talk about our Supreme Court nominee and somebody who will do a fantastic.
Hold on. Let's go to Blumenthal, since he brought his name up. Oh, there's trouble in peace. Oh, Lord. Hold on. I'm gonna pull it up since he brought it up. But let me see what I already got lined up before I do an old switcheroo and get off track like I am known to do. Hold on.
Sentence of former Republican Congressman George Santos, who is currently serving a 7-year prison sentence for aggravated identity theft and wire fraud charges. Let's get straight to CNN's Kristen Holmes at the White House. Kristen, a bit of a Friday night news dump, I guess we could describe it, from President Trump. Did he say why he chose to do this?
Well, it seems pretty unexpected, actually, because President Trump has been lobbied on this by both Santos as well as other members of Congress, like Marjorie Taylor Greene, for some time, and he has always evaded answering the question of whether or not he would pardon or commute a sentence for George Santos. It does appear, looking at George Santos' Twitter, that he wrote an open letter from prison recently as this week. But if you're asking President Trump why he did it, he is linking this to Senator Blumenthal of Connecticut and saying that Blumenthal lied but never had to go to jail. And of course, Santos lied but did have to go to jail. And then really essentially saying that because Santos is a Republican, that maybe he should have his sentence commuted. This is also not the first of these former Republican politicians that he has pardoned or commuted their sentence. He did so for Representative Michael Grimm. He did so for a Connecticut governor, among others, all Republican, failed Republican politicians who had been convicted of crimes. When it comes to himself, as we know, he had been convicted of 7 years to a 7-year sentence. This says, according to Donald Trump, that as soon as he signs this pen, he is no longer going to be in any. It says releasing George Santos from prison immediately. That's what happens as soon as he signs this commutation. Of course, I'm sure there's a lot that has to happen in between then. But this is a lengthy screed here about Blumenthal. I will note it was just earlier this month, maybe 2 weeks ago, that President Trump said he was going to look into Blumenthal. He was going to do some kind of investigation into him because he had clashed with Attorney General Pam Bondi. It's something he has brought up a lot. Unclear whether or not this actually has anything to do with Blumenthal, but this is how President Trump is translating this. We'll wait to see reaction from Santos and other lawmakers who, of course, expelled him from the House of Representatives because he was found guilty of fraud, as well as stealing other identities, posing as donors to make donations, among other things. So we'll wait and see what the reaction is to this.
Yeah, he didn't have many fans, we should note, in the Republican Party. So this is quite interesting. Kristen Holmes to the White House for us. Thank you so much. Joining me now is Democratic Congressman Ted Lieu of California. So, Congressman, breaking news Friday evening, your reaction to President Trump commuting George Santos' sentence.
Thank you, Bianca, for your question. My first reaction is, wow, the president really wants to distract from the Republican shutdown and the Epstein files. Let me remind American people what disgraced former Congressman George Santos was convicted of, among crimes including identity theft, obtaining unemployment benefits through fraud, charging credit cards without authorization, to a sentence of 87 months in prison. And now Donald Trump's action is thrusting him into the limelight and making him again the face of the Republican Party. And I am more than happy to talk about this commutation and what this action means, because it's really the embodiment now of what the Republican Party stands for.
How are you expecting some of your Republican colleagues to respond to this? Because as we noted, there wasn't much love lost within his own party as well.
Well, as you had mentioned early on, some of the members of the Republican Party pushed for George Santos to get a commutation. I imagine many of them will be silent because they are very afraid of saying anything that might possibly offend the president. And so we're going to see a whole bunch of silence. That would be my guess.
Look, this is a guy who, as you said, identity theft, wire fraud, a professional grifter.
A professional.
Thank you, Bianca, for your...
So we'll wait and see what the reaction is to this.
Yeah, he didn't have many fans, we should note, in the Republican Party. So this is quite interesting.
Also, the Republicans didn't like him.
Thank you so much.
This month, maybe 2 weeks ago, that President Trump said he was going to look like a governor, among others, all Republican, failed Republican politicians who had been convicted of crimes. When it comes to himself, as we know, he had been convicted of 7 years to a 7-year sentence. This says, according to Donald Trump, that as soon as he signs this pen, he is no longer going to be in any, it says releasing George Santos from prison immediately. That's what happens as soon as he signs this commutation, of course. I'm sure there's a lot that has to happen in between then. But this is a lengthy screed here about Blumenthal. I will note, it was just earlier this month, maybe 2 weeks ago, that President Trump said he was going to look into Blumenthal. He was going to do some kind of investigation into him because he had clashed with Attorney General Pam Bondi. It's something he has brought up a lot. Unclear whether or not this actually has anything to do with Blumenthal, but this is how President Trump is translating this. We'll wait to see reaction from Santos and other lawmakers.
He clashed with Bondi.
Expelled him from the House
So
of
he went up under Bondi. So this is a slap in Bondi's face.
As well as stealing other identities, posing as donors to make donations, among other things. So we'll wait and see what the reaction is to this.
Yeah, he didn't have many fans, we should note, in the Republican Party. So this is quite interesting. Kristen Holmes of the White House for us. Thank you so much. Joining me now is Democratic Congressman Ted Lieu of California. So, Congressman, breaking news Friday evening, your reaction to President Trump commuting George Santos' sentence.
Thank you, Bianca, for your question. My first reaction is, wow, the president really wants to distract from the Republican shutdown and the Epstein files. Let me remind the American people what disgraced former Congressman George Santos was convicted of, among crimes including identity theft, obtaining unemployment benefits through fraud, charging credit cards without authorization, to a sentence of 87 months in prison. And now Donald Trump's action is thrusting him into the limelight and making him again the face of the Republican Party. Now I'm more than happy to talk about this commutation and what this action means, because it's really the embodiment now of what the Republican Party stands for.
How are you expecting some of your Republican colleagues to respond to this? Because as we noted, there wasn't much love lost within his own party as well.
Well, as you had mentioned early on, some of the members of the Republican Party pushed for George Santos to get a commutation. I imagine many of them will be silent because they are very afraid of saying anything that might possibly offend the president. And so we're going to see a whole bunch of silence. That would be my guess.
Look, this is a guy who,
as
you said, identity theft, wire fraud, a professional grifter. If you voted for Donald Trump because you thought he was going to drain the swamp, because you believed him when he said he wanted to level the playing field for everyday Americans, like today is another example of why you should be disappointed. He just seems to go out of his way time and time again to show that he will do whatever it takes to support those who support him and punish those who oppose him. I wish I could say I'm surprised by this. I'm not, but it's yet another example of him going against exactly what he said he was going to be as president.
So, TW, do you think George Santos was deserving of this commutation? He wasn't exactly the most beloved figure in America, much less Congress.
Maybe not beloved, depending on what circle you ran in. I thought his cameos were very funny. Look, I don't know the exact petition put forward to the president. Obviously, George Santos was convicted of a number of crimes, and
he pled guilty.
The DOJ thought that it was an overreach or it was targeted at him. It's within the president's right to commute a sentence. That authority lies with the president alone and his judgment alone.
Y'all, and listen, I am still very, very, very fearful for let me take this out. Very, 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 very fearful for Tyler Robinson. And it don't have anything to do what side he represents or who he is. It is just the unjust. That I'm just having a problem with that. Hold on, let me switch.
The Supreme Court is back, and
And I'm afraid he's setting this up for Ghislaine Maxwell.
They rejected today.
I'm shifting from what we watched here to what is probably or maybe about to happen in Texas with Ghislaine Maxwell. I think he's trying to move away from the word pardon and picking up commute to say, oh, well, he didn't pardon, you know, he just, hey, Purple Flower, if I miss, whoever I miss, hey, I need y'all get your likes up, double tap the face of your screen, just like that, or hit the thumbs up, the 3 dots at the top right. We need to get that up real quick, real quick. So, yeah, I think that that's where he's going. I think he's trying to get away from the word pardon. And he's going to ease to commute. Him being pardoned immediately, absolutely insane. And not only pardon or commute, whatever, Purple Flower, that means all his debt, no probation, no nothing. He's free from all the money he done stole. Yeah, he don't have to pay no restitution, no nothing. He don't have to go see no probation officer, nothing. Nothing.
The Supreme Court is back in session. They rejected today an appeal by Ghislaine Maxwell to overturn her conviction. That means her only chance of getting out of prison is a pardon from you. Is that something you're...
Who are we talking about?
Ghislaine Maxwell.
You know, I haven't heard the name in so long. I can say this, that I'd have to take a look at it. I would have to take a look. Did they reject that?
She wanted to appeal her conviction.
And what happened?
They said that they were not going to hear her appeal.
I see. Well, I'll take a look at it. I will speak to the DOJ.
That was just the latest of many opportunities that Donald Trump was given to say, no, I'm not going to release into the wild the most notorious living sex predator in America, at least free. Puff Daddy has apparently been locked up. And no, he has to look into it. He's not sure. Oh, also, he doesn't really remember the name. He hasn't heard the name in a long time. He hasn't partied with her in a while. Oh, also, he doesn't know what the Supreme Court has been up to. Now, you can believe all of those things, but if you do believe all those things, then you have to kind of accept that this guy is Sleepy Joe in a way that Joe Biden even never was. He has no clue what's going on. He has no idea what's in the news. But again, I don't really believe it. And one of the reasons is there continues to be reporting coming out of Ghislaine Maxwell, who is, at least as of right now, still locked up, kind of. She's in like a minimum security place. It's probably nicer than most of the places you and I have ever lived in our lives.
Mm-hmm. They probably done changed her bedding. She probably has that adjustable posturepedic bed. They done brought her in a nightstand in the chair.
And the stuff that's been coming out of that has been highly suspicious. And it's not just me saying that. Many of the inmates that are currently in prison with Ghislaine Maxwell have been noting suspicious comings and goings. So she apparently, while fellow inmates of hers were confined to their dormitories after breakfast, she instead was brought to the camp's chapel where she received several visitors. Now, it couldn't be determined who...
Not one. Hey, Mimi Crickets from MAGA. Just like it's crickets from MAGA. From, they really been still quiet about Tyler. I mean, because they know Tyler ain't the person who unalived him. The guy in Portland. What else done happened? That synagogue stuff. All of those people that they thought was going to be left turned out to be right, far right. We ain't heard nothing else about it.
Who she met with in the chapel that day. And by the way, let's just pause there for a second. You keep it up.
And they've said several. So now, mind you, they knew. Now we know Okay, let me change the background. We offer you, fat boy. Fluffy Stuffy. We offer you, Fluffy Stuffy. We are off of you. We finished with him on TV. Yeah, we offer Fluffy Stuffy. And we offer Fluffy Stuffy. We're going to go here. So now we know that they been knowing that Prince Andrew that Virginia's memoirs was coming out, that it made mention, I mean, and she is not the one who's ever really had anything negative to say about Trump, other than he let, you know, I mean, I'm sure she didn't word it the way I would have worded it, but he sold her to Ghislaine and Epstein when he says he stole her from him. Now, you sold her to him. Let's be clear. You allowed that transaction to happen. Okay? Because y'all big pimping. Y'all traffickers. Y'all move people around. Okay? She saw interest in her. Yeah. So, that happened. Y'all have been knowing for a little while. Long enough for some of the memoirs to start leaking and Prince being yanked from his Duke of York title, and it sound like it's finna get even more worse. Emails and shit is leaking. Yeah, between you and Charles. That came out first, remember. And Fergie she done came out. I mean, so these special little meetings that they was having at the federal prison, shutting everything down, several people, as well as very important people, was because y'all knew this shit was gonna fall out the sky, right? We didn't know it, but y'all did. So y'all going in asking questions, you know, what you know, who you know. That's why I ain't like how she kind of threw Tucker out there, but hey, you know, he entertained. He you know, you lay down with dogs. Mama said you bound to get fleas. Yeah. So I see why now y'all was having these special meetings, and she was, you know, cause the way she was talking that we heard last night, ooh, that was good. I sure wish they would have got them likes up, baby, cause it was getting good. That tea was hot last night, baby. Huh? Yes, indeed. Yeah. A lot is out there. The tea was hot, Jen, baby. All they had to do was hit the like button. I wasn't asking for no donation. I wasn't saying send me a cash app. I wasn't saying super chat, super sticker. I wasn't saying give me some jewels. I just said double tap the face of your screen. I hit the 3 buttons at the top so that we could continue with the tea. Shit. Just like I'm finna shut down on them.
Where she received
here today, right now.
Now, it couldn't be determined who she met with in the chapel. Fellow inmates of hers were confined to their dormitories after breakfast. She instead was brought to the camp's chapel, where she received several visitors. Now, it couldn't be determined who she met with in the chapel that day. And by the way,
now you know Trump ain't going into no study hall or no. I want to go into the house of the Lord. That's the nicest. Is that the nicest place in here? Okay, well, let's go in there.
Let's just pause there for a second. You keep it up. The Wall Street Journal sort of just glosses over that. Why the hell would we not be able to know what visitors she's receiving in prison? Why is that like private information?
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't taken in private, and she's a goddamn prisoner. Why would we not get to know that? Mm-hmm. But okay, I guess we're just not as important as Ghislaine Maxwell. We don't have as much control over what happens. Some prisoners, by the way, heard that the lockdown was needed to accommodate important visitors, that this was not just, as you might expect, some sort of coincidence. They locked the prison down so that she could meet up with some VIPs in the chapel. Now, when she apparently left, she had a smile on her face, and an inmate asked her about the meeting. She said it went really well, but didn't share any other information. And so she's apparently not only getting special guests, and not only likes the visits that she's getting, but the prison is contorting itself into pretzel-like knots to make sure that their identity remains hidden. They didn't want any of these other prisoners to see her, so they locked down the entire prison for it, which again, is that how prison normally works?
No.
Like, if you and I was locked up and, like, our mom visited, would they lock everyone else in their cells so we could spend some quality time in the chapel? I kind of suspect not. And so, she,
reckon it was
you would
Trump?
think, not been treated very well by the actual prisoners there. She is what they call a chomo. I haven't heard that before. I haven't watched a lot of prison shows, but a sex predator. Generally, other prisoners don't like sex predators. And so they're treating her a little bit more harshly than, like, the president of the United States would.
Showboat.
But they were told that someone important was coming to do a walkthrough. The warden even called a town meeting, warning other inmates not to harm Mac, sex predator. Generally, other prisoners don't like sex predators. And so they're treating her a little bit more harshly than, like, the president of the United States would. But they were told that someone important was coming to do a walkthrough. The warden even called a town meeting, warning other inmates not to harm Maxwell, which, by the way, nobody should be harmed in prison. But it's almost like, don't harm her during the limited remaining time that she's actually going to be in it. We got to make sure that she survives long enough to be released.
So now she's going to start saying she feels threatened. Why would you have to say don't harm her? Has anybody put hands on her before?
Feels like. Since then, she's been allowed to eat alone in her dormitory, has a security escort for when she wants to check out, and is allowed to shower well after other inmates are supposed to be in their bunks. So she is being treated very specially, and already has. She wouldn't even be there if she wasn't. And I ask again, why the special treatment for someone who seems to deserve it far less than literally any other prisoner in there? And
isn't this the craziest mess? Hold on. It's the craziest mess ever. Never in my life. Never in my life. Hold on. Where my lights at? Y'all, please get the lights up. Never in my life have I seen anything.
If you fear that he might pardon her, I think that these most recent developments should give you cause to believe that. And so we'll see. We'll see.
Sound too low? Here's how to fix it. Open power sound. Instant.
It's probably coming, y'all. Hold on. Yep, it's coming. Especially with all of this that's coming out with the Prince. With what's coming out with Prince and Fergie. And Fergie. And Fergie.
Paul Mary, longtime pal, excellent journalist, expert on the Epstein stuff, which is a rough beat to have, but we...
Oh, wow. He done pulled the move to try to rig the 2020.
This is Democracy Watch. Mark, you and I have spoken quite a bit about all of the people that Trump has fired, all the competent people Trump has fired in this administration, but he just hired one election denier, and I know that's not especially surprising, but I want you to explain the ways in which the election denier that he just hired can manifest itself into more danger for this country as we look toward...
Oh, what? Okay, my system just stopped. Hold on. It just froze up on me. Are y'all still here? Can y'all hear me? It just froze up. Let me go to another device. I guess it's saying they're not hitting the like button. Page unresponsive. It's saying AunTeaFee, they not doing right by you. Unresponsive. Let me see if I go another route. Thank you, Janet. I need for them to hit the like button. I'm finna go. You know, my system is shutting down saying, AunTeaFee, they not doing right by you. Is this where I stopped last night? Oh, just so you know, that's where I stopped last night, Janet. I still got it. Ooh, baby, that was good, baby. I tell you, that was tea. Oh my God. I'm trying. I don't know why it's not letting me pull it up. Let me go reboot. I'm gonna go to my main computer. Hold on, let me go reboot. Get the lights up. Because there's been an outage reported. So That means that y'all asking me to work double and triple. What? On different devices. What? And the likes ain't up? Is that what we doing? Is that what y'all asking me for? Oh. Can y'all see that? Hold on. Hold on. Outage. Oh, so that means y'all want me to work extra hard and use another device and do all of this, that, and the other, and y'all not gonna get the likes up? Really? Really? Is that what y'all are expecting from me? Really? Let me see something.
Really involved in one case in which Texas sued the 4 other states and directly in the U.S. Supreme Court. Now that case was dismissed, but that's kind of like how he came on my radar screen. Like I said, I suspect that's how he came on most people's radar screen. I was at the time representing President Biden and the Democratic Party in defeating more than 60 lawsuits that had been filed by the Stop the Steal, Big Lie, election denier crowd on the other side. But he was one of the worst actors in that. And then he reemerged on the scene in the 2022 gubernatorial election in Arizona, when he again advanced crackpot theories there around voting election machines and the gubernatorial election.
Okay, so who is this that he done hired to steal?
About what had happened. And he was who, I assume first came on Donald Trump's radar screen at the same time he came on my radar screen, which was after the 2020 election, when he was urging all kinds of wild-eyed, crazy shit theories about what had happened. And he was one of the lawyers who, instigated Donald Trump's, fevered dreams that the elections had been stolen from him. And he was particularly involved in one case in which Texas sued the 4 other states and directly in the U.S. Supreme Court. Now that case was dismissed. But that's kind of like how he came on my radar screen. Like I said, I suspect that's how he came on most people's radar screen. I was at the time representing President Biden and the Democratic Party in defeating more than 60 lawsuits that had been filed by the Stop the Steal, Big Lie, election denier crowd on the other side. But he was one of the worst actors in that. And then he reemerged on the scene in the 2022 gubernatorial election in Arizona, when he again advanced crackpot theories there around voting election machines and the gubernatorial election, and then in the post-election, he was actually sanctioned for some of his.
Okay, let's go to the no.
Hey y'all, it's James Tallarico, and I'm asking you to become a founding donor of my campaign for the U.S.
The
Senate.
no kings. I'm gonna get ready to
Los
go.
Angeles! God, I love living in the bastion of democracy, the bastion of resistance against Trumpism. LA, let's hear it! Beautiful. Now, I'm sure that you've seen the panic, the overwhelming panic from Republicans about today. But do you know why they hate what we're doing here and what we're doing in 2,500 other cities across America and across the world? Because here, their pressure does not work. Because we're not a law firm that can be bought off. We are not a university that can be bought off. We're not a tech CEO that can be bought off. We are not a media outlet that can be bought off. They hate what we're doing here because you cannot buy off millions upon millions of people taking to the streets. Because we are not leveraged by the federal government. We can't be cowed into submission because of some sick obsession with money or proximity to power. Because millions of people taking to the streets right now destroys the optics that Donald Trump has total control. So do me a favor, take a look at the people around you. Does this look right here like Donald Trump has total control? That right there is why he and his party are so desperate to shame you for being here. That is why they're so desperate to rebrand, are so desperate to shame as total control. So do me a favor, take a look at the people around you. Does this look right here like Donald Trump has total control? That right there is why he and his party are so desperate to shame you for being here. That is why they're so desperate to rebrand this thing as a Hate America rally. But you know what hating America looks like? Hating America looks like screwing over farmers and bailing out Argentina instead.
Y'all hit the like button.
It looks like sending secret police.
It's my last time saying it.
Into our cities. It looks like silencing comedians for the crime of making fun of dear leader. It looks like gifting yourself a $400 million jet from Qatar. It looks like building a $200 million ballroom to assuage your fragile ego while 40 million Americans are living in poverty.
Facts.
It looks like blocking the release of the Epstein files. Like
come on, Brian.
Medicaid from 17 million Americans. It looks like right now keeping the government closed because you are so fucking hell-bent on stripping away healthcare from 24 million Americans and trying to get their costs to double, triple, or quadruple. So if you're looking for the Hate America rally, might I suggest the White House? We are here not because we hate America, but expressly because we love it. Because we know that this is a country worth fighting for. This is a country worth saving. We are here because we know that this could be a country where everybody has health care. Where we take our obligation to tackle climate change seriously. Where we protect our seniors by protecting Social Security. A country where there are not two tiers of justice, one for Republican politicians and another for everybody else. A country where we fight to defend what is now the world's oldest continuous democracy, and despite Trump's best efforts, will continue to be the world's oldest continuous democracy. A democracy where the people rule and not kings. So I have one more request here. If any of you who are marching today see any agitators, do not engage. Do not give this administration any reason to do what they are so desperate to do, which is to engage in violence to justify these troop deployments across the country. We all have a role to play here, so thank you. Everybody be safe. And one last thing. Fuck Donald Trump! Fuck Donald Trump!
Woo.
Thank you, everybody.
With YouTube Premium, you can watch ad-free.
I wasn't expecting that, y'all.
And listen ad-free on the
I know I ain't gonna get a dime off of that one.
Earlier today at the No Kings protest in downtown LA, I was joined by tens of thousands of protesters in Los Angeles who took to the streets to make their voices heard in what ultimately became the largest protest in American history, with over 7 million Americans in 2,700 cities and communities across the country. What makes the turnout even more impressive is that many people came out despite the looming threats of violence, both organic as the result of this political climate and inorganic at the hands of a president who has been haphazardly deploying troops wherever he can. There was particular concern that...
Thank you, everybody.
That was earlier today at the No Kings protest in downtown LA. I was joined by tens of thousands of protesters in Los Angeles who took to the streets to make their voices heard in what ultimately became the largest protest in American history, with over 7 million Americans in 2,700 cities and communities across the country. What makes the turnout even more impressive is that many people came out despite the looming threats of violence, both organic as the result of this political climate and inorganic at the hands of a president who has been haphazardly deploying troops wherever he can. There was particular concern that he would use any violence whatsoever as a pretext to be able to invoke the Insurrection Act and turn our troops against American citizens, given the ease with which he's already deployed our military into Los Angeles, Portland, and Chicago, despite there being no justification whatsoever to do so. And look, if you watch my content, you know that I rarely, if ever, make these videos about me, but even I personally was worried about going out and being on stage publicly in a world where just a month ago we watched as a political commentator got assassinated. I had friends and family urging me not to go, and I understand why, and so I was considering not going for that very reason, but I weighed that against what it would mean to not go, to allow myself to be cowed into silence by bad faith actors who want nothing more than to take my voice away, to make me feel too afraid to be out in public for fear of someone committing an act of violence. And look, I could have stayed home and continued to make content and reach plenty of people, but it's not about that. It is about getting out into the streets and doing my part to be one of the more than 7 million Americans who marched today. And I felt personally like it was important to do that, even with the heightened risk of being a political commentator out in public and with the heightened risk of a president who is chomping at the bit to escalate tensions because he is looking for any excuse to deploy the military against Americans. And frankly, I'm glad I did go. So to that point, I want to say thank you to everybody who came out, not just for standing in solidarity with so many people who needed to know that we're not alone, but for also doing it peacefully, for sending a message to the right that we will not be goaded into violence, for pushing back on this ridiculous Republican narrative that the left is dangerous or traffics in violence, and personally for helping somebody like me who's been left pretty spooked in the aftermath of the Charlie Kirk shooting of going into public events or going into public spaces. Being at the No Kings protest restored some faith in humanity that we can make our voices heard without compromising our safety. And finally, a message to Trump voters out there who have spent the last week being conned by your elected officials that the left is some violent cabal looking to seek vengeance on cities or Republicans or police or each other. I hope there comes a point where you recognize that the left is not your enemy. Your enemy is a political party, elected officials that need to rely on demagoguery to distract you because their agenda is too unpopular to stand on its own. At some point, I hope you can see that the problem here is not the left. It is the wealthy politicians and their donors who sick the working class on itself so that no one sees the con being perpetuated at the top. Hopefully the events of today bring you all a little closer to that reality.
Oh, they say he hot. He hot as fish grease. And when I say fish grease, I do mean fish grease. I do mean fish. They say he was losing it all night.
When I was diagnosed with skin cancer, I was told that no surgery
y'all, I
was
have
the
a
only
reported
answer.
outage. Y'all still not respecting that. Still not double tapping and getting the likes up.
That right there was the No Kings protest in Los Angeles. That right there was the No Kings protest in Los Angeles. All in all, over 7 million people showed up to protest across the United States. It was the largest single day of protest in the history of the United States, and Donald Trump is not handling it well at all. He is just losing his mind over the success of these peaceful No Kings protests. I'll play for you this B-roll right here. These are real posts that Donald Trump was making late last night on his social media account.
He couldn't even go to sleep,
y'all. This is how he's going to intimidate the peaceful protesters. He posted this AI video of a King Trump fighter jet dumping feces on peaceful protesters, and Harry Sisson was someone who was...
Can you believe that? Your president
posted this AI video of a King Trump fighter jet dumping feces on
Your
peaceful
president.
protesters, and Harry Sisson was someone who was in the peaceful protest there in New York, and this is how Donald Trump thinks that the President of the United States should behave. He's also posting or reposting AI videos that J.D. Vance posted with Donald Trump putting a crown on his head and holding up a sword. I mean, this behavior is just absolutely abhorrent. It is beneath contempt. It's not funny. It's not humorous. Or reposting AI videos that J.D. Vance posted with Donald Trump putting a crown on his head and holding up a sword.
Your
This
president
behavior is just
is a
absolutely abhorrent. It is beneath contempt. It's not funny. It's not humorous. It really is just humiliating for our country that someone in that office is behaving that way. You're not owning the libs. You just look like an idiot. You look like a petulant little 3-year-old. No offense to petulant 3-year-olds. This is what they were doing all night. Donald Trump and his team posting more photos of himself wearing a crown, or whatever this meme is supposed to be, of himself wearing a crown. Other intimidation tactics, of course, yesterday was that the military ended up executing on that plan that we said they were going to, where they would shoot the live ammunition over the I-5 highway. The I-5 highway had to be shut down because this profoundly absurd show of force, as Governor Gavin Newsom calls it, it's dangerous to have, and that we said they were going to, where they would shoot the live ammunition over the I-5 highway. The I-5 highway had to be shut down.
Did they shoot it?
This in the history of the United States, and Donald Trump is not handling it well at all. He is just losing his mind over the success of these peaceful No Kings pro shutdown. You also have official government dangerous to have live munitions being shot over cars, so the I-5 had to be shut down. You also have official government accounts making posts like this.
He's an enemy of the state.
Cartoon images of
how many times have I told y'all that?
Jeffries as female princesses. They find that to be funny. I mean, you're ripping away the health care of 20 million Americans. Donald Trump and MAGA Mike Johnson and all this MAGA crew. It's not a laughing matter. Look, there are times where there could be jokes. There are times where there could be things that are humorous. When you're literally killing what could be 100,000 people a year as a result of healthcare being taken away from people. I don't know. It's not a laughing matter when the signs in California, Southern California, read live weapons over freeway, be careful, live weapons over freeway. And you'll recall the Midas Touch Network, weapons over freeway. And you'll recall the Midas live weapons over freeway. Live weapons over freeway, be careful, live weapons over freeway. And you'll recall the Midas Touch Network broke the story about the live munitions that the Trump regime denied. And then lots of people said, well, the Trump regime said they weren't doing it, so they must not be doing it. And we said, why are you believing the Trump regime? They lie about freaking everything. Back to the No Kings protests that are absolutely terrifying. Donald Trump right now. You have the No Kings protest right here in Minneapolis. They showed up in Minneapolis. Here, play this clip.
Those of you resisting ICE, keep resisting. We see you. It's not over. We're just getting started.
They're going to have your ass in a foreign country.
I'll give you another view right here. Over 200,000 Americans showed up in D.C. yesterday at the No Kings rally, the most protesters ever in the Trump era to show up at a protest in Washington, D.C. Let's play this clip right here. Our friend, the Maine Wonk, put together this compilation where you can see Philly, D.C., Chicago, New York City, San Diego, and Boston all together. I'll play you this clip right here. You can see just massive, massive crowds in each of these cities. And again, about 7+ million nationwide. Here, play this clip. Now, here's the inflatable rave event at Portland Ice. Amanda Moore is doing a great job capturing these moments and posting. A real shout out to the hard work that she's putting in. Here, play this clip. Now, as noted, this was the single biggest day of peaceful protests in the history of the United States. And as I wanted to emphasize here, peaceful protest. After all the lies that MAGA Mike Johnson and Donald Trump and MAGA were saying about these peaceful protests, no one was arrested in New York. Just think about it. NYPD posted the following. This was yesterday. We had more than 100,000 people across the 5 boroughs peacefully exercising their First Amendment rights, and the NYPD made 0 protest-related arrests at all, which is a great thing. Also, San Diego police, over 25,000 people there. The San Diego Police Department also announced no one arrested. Thank you to the more than 25,000 people who showed up, exercised their First Amendment rights to peacefully and responsibly protest. Thank you for keeping it classy, San Diego. That from the San Diego Police Department. You know, and it is a little bit reassuring to see the police department speaking this way. I think that there's an important distinction to make between police departments and well-trained officers versus this ICE Gestapo, these untrained maniacs. You know, basically these right-wing fascists that look like the brown shirt Nazis going around with the ICE agents versus police officers, well-trained, doing their job and understanding the First Amendment and not having, you know, these clear like masculinity or testosterone issues that these ICE agents have, you know, or whatever the hell happened to them in their lives where they need to take it out on migrants, sick people, these ICE agents, sick, disgusting people, these ICE agents. Really gross. Austin Police Department also put out this statement. Thank you to everyone who participated in the No Kings March today. The rally remained peaceful with no arrests reported. We're grateful for our community and event organizers for coming together. I think it's an important point. Part of policing is building trust in the community, and I think that that's an important thing. I found this ICE lice have invaded the Constitution at Seattle Center's No Kings protest. This was like a funny exhibit that they put on. Here, play this clip. I'll show you this B-roll right here of the huge sign in San Francisco. All the protesters showed up and they made this sign with their bodies, basically. It says, "No Kings, yes on Prop 50. That's the stop the unlawful rigging election by the MAGA Republicans. Just look at how many people showed up there in San Francisco. Many of you may, if you were in Pasadena, probably saw me there. Here's the Pasadena protest that I was at. I saw this individual who had the sign, "Mike Grinder Johnson protects pedos." You see me right there. I met this other gentleman right here. Great sign. I met someone dressed as Princess Leia right there. Rise of the Resistance. I took a lot of pictures, met a lot of great people at the event. For everyone who came up to me, it was great meeting you. And for everybody who I saw there, it was great seeing you as well. While we were out there peacefully protesting, I also learned, did you hear this story, that Kristi Noem, Department of Homeland Security Secretary, just spent $172 million of our taxpayer dollars to buy herself multiple top-of-the-line Gulfstream private jets, so that she can fly around in private jets, like top-of-the-line stuff, you know, like all those private G5s or G550s or G6, you know, private jets. She's buying herself all of these jets, so she flies around in luxury with Corey Lewandowski, whatever's going on there, while they strip the funding away from FEMA, while they take away critical resources from so many agencies. That's where they're spending their money on. And then you had this Kim Jong-un style military thing I would never think would happen in the United States. Like, if they think this makes our military look strong, I mean, it to me makes it look weak. VP Vance observing an amphibious assault demonstration. Here, play this clip.
over U.S.
Marines have answered the nation's call. Today, we honor that legacy.
Right, that looks just straight up North Korea crap right there, right? Oh my God. Then finally, again, while I was at the peaceful protests, I learned this yesterday as well. Donald Trump announced the following. Remember, there were 2 individuals who survived one of the recent boat strikes as Trump's engaged in all of these war crimes off the coast of Venezuela and Colombia and apparently Trinidad and Tobago. They killed people there too. There's been like 25, 26 plus people who have been killed by the Trump regime in these war crimes, blowing up the boats. The main 4-star admiral in the region quit because didn't want to be involved in war crimes. 1 year into his 37-year military career, just straight up quit. Unheard of. That just doesn't happen. But Donald Trump said the following in a post. He goes, 2 surviving terrorists are being returned to their countries of origin. These are people who were not, there were 2 survivors of the last strike. Ecuador and Colombia for detention and prosecution. No U.S. forces were harmed in this strike. And as Juliet Kayyem says, generally narco-terrorists are not repatriated unless they aren't who Trump and Hegseth say they are. Seems like we're just randomly killing people on boats. Right. The New York Times also reported that the Trump regime decided to repatriate the 2 survivors of a deadly U.S. strike on suspected drug runners in the Caribbean Sea rather than prosecute or hold them in military detention. I just want you to think about that. Right. So Trump has labeled these people narco-terrorists, but they are not dangerous enough to extradite for prosecution in the United States or to put in military type camps. Why? You don't want them to speak about what actually went down. And I think that these individuals are probably fearful of their life. That when they, what do you think is going to happen when they go into their countries? They may all of a sudden go missing. I don't think that's a gigantic leap.
We heard last night that some of Epstein's female friends are friends, it was mentioned that some of them have vanished.
What likely will happen to them when they go back to those countries? They may, I'm not trying to fearmonger, but what do you think is going to happen when they go back to those countries? We're not stupid. Let's hit subscribe. Thank you for watching. Okay, y'all,
we're not able to satisfy me with the like button on this go round. Maybe next go round. Okay, I'll see y'all later. Bye. Hit the like button on your way out. I'm serious about it this point going forward. I'm serious about the like button.